Hello, my name is Spathis. I'm an associate professor at Sorbonne University. And today I will present a work that I conducted with my colleague Hatan Day at NYU Shanghai. And the work is entitled Online Teaching Amid COVID-19, the Case of Zoom. So here's the outline for my presentation. I will first start presenting a quick background on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on education. Then I will show how we've been using Zoom for our online synchronous teaching. Then I will start presenting the main result of my study, which is a twofold analysis. The first one is a qualitative analysis where I will present how the tools provided by Zoom regarding engagement and feedback can be transposed to in-class settings. And we will show that basically that's not obvious how to transpose those tools. In the second part of the study, which is a quantitative analysis, I will present the study that we conducted regarding the attention tracker of Zoom and the recording analysis that are provided by Zoom. And then finally, I will conclude by presenting my results and takeaways for this study. Our work consisted into analyzing Zoom, which we start using back in the fall of 2020 for our online teachings. So this analysis that we conducted is twofold. So there's a qualitative first study and then a quantitative one. Regarding the qualitative analysis, what we did, we took actually some of the tools provided by Zoom. Firstly, the feedback engagement tools that we classify according to different categories, including visual feedback, verbal feedback, textual feedback, and clip-based feedback. And our purpose here was to see if those can be transposed easily from online teaching back to in-person teaching. So we were comparing both of them, and then we turned our attentions to the reporting and recording tools provided, given that for each meetings, Zoom were providing the host of a meeting, which means the instructor, with a report, including the number of attendees, and for each recordings to the cloud of Zoom, some analytics regarding the number of views of the recordings. Then, based on those recordings and reportings, what we did, we conducted a quantitative analysis where we focused on the attention score, given that Zoom provide each of the participants with a score that was intended to measure how much attention they gave during the meeting, meaning the lectures for education. And also regarding the recordings, we wanted to know how this score regarding the attention was correlated to the number of views or downloads of each of the recordings that were uploaded to Zoom Cloud. So I will now present the quantitative analysis that we conducted on Zoom. And as I said, what was the most interesting part of our study was the attention tracker. So the attention tracker was a tool available to the host of a meeting, which actually could indicate which participant didn't have Zoom in the foreground of the computer. So it means that for any participant who has the Zoom window in the background for over 30 seconds, in that case, there will be a clock indicator next to the participant name in the participant panel that will show. On top of this indicator, each participant was allocated a score, which was a percentage of time for the complete duration of the meeting when the participant was attentive, okay? It's worth noting that actually that features have been removed on April 1st, 2020, okay? And what is more, it's been removed from all the reports prior to that date. So we conducted this analysis at the occasion of a Bachelor of Computer Science course. A little less than 90% of the students were in the same time zone, So the class consisted of 16 students. Almost half of them were seniors, while most of the other part was sophomores. So the course we're giving in spring 2020 for 14 weeks. And the class we're meeting 3 times a week, each meeting being 75 minutes long. And each of those meetings were of a different type. So on Mondays, we had lectures, on Wednesday, tutorials, and on Friday, the labs. So what we were interested here was to analyze out of the reports coming from Zoom, what was the attentiveness score allocated to the participants, given that we could conduct this analysis for 7 weeks, since in April 30, that feature was removed permanently by Zoom. So on the first plot that I represent here, so I use different colors for the different type of meetings. So as we said, we had lectures, which are indicated in blue. In yellow, I have the tutorials, and in red, I show the labs. So the purpose of this first plot is to show for each student, in the x-axis, I have the final grade that they receive for this course. And the bars are indicating per type of meeting the average attentiveness score they received across the 7 weeks, since later on Zoom stopped giving attention score to the students. So we can see that we have somehow the attentiveness score is somehow correlated to the final grade they received. Okay, as we can see from the trend lines indicated here, whether it is according to attention that they have during the lectures, the recitation, or the labs. On the second plot, what I represent here is the score, average score of the class, giving that each meeting was either a lecture, a tutorial, and a lab. And obviously, what we can see here, we have 3 different trends. The first one is for the lectures. So as we can see, as the term was progressing, the attention score of the students tend to decrease regarding the lectures, while it was increasing for the recitation. And the same observation that we made for the lecture also applied for the labs, giving that during the labs, the attention score decreased and was very low. So it's worth noting here that actually the lab were taking online on their own computers using a special software. So which means that during the course of the lab, they needed to have in the foreground that software that they were using, giving that Zoom then was in the background. So on the next slide that I show here, I have a new plot which actually indicate the number of views. So all the meetings were recorded and uploaded to the Zoom's cloud. And Zoom give us a way of analyzing how many views were received by each of the recordings. And as we can see, so we can see that clearly the students were less interested in watching the recordings of the tutorials, here represented in yellow, which in the contrary, we can see that for the lectures, there were like a kind of an increase, except for the third meeting here, something happened. I don't really know the reason. But for the rest of the meetings, we can see that clearly the lecture received much more views than actually the number of students. Please remind that we have 16 students in the class, and the lectures here received almost between 30 and 40 views, indicating that the students resorted many times and many occasions. They watched the same recording over and over, probably to complete their homework. So on the left, we can see that over the course of the term, we had less attention to the lectures, but the number of views increased for the recordings of the lectures. On the contrary, students were paying more attention during the recitation, which was mainly about problem solving, things that they were not feeling like watching again during the recordings. So it is time to give the conclusion to this presentation. So we've seen in the first part of our study, which was a qualitative study, that the online tools provided in Zoom are not easy to transpose to a classroom in-person settings. That include the feedback and engagement. So whether through the chat or the reaction, we can have much more engagements from the participants. Also, that include the recording tools that provide us with an easy way to either include the video or only the audio that is uploaded and shared in the Zoom's cloud. And the same with the reporting, which actually let the instructor take the attendance easily, consult the result of the pollings, or even the attention score that is provided by Zoom. Regarding the quantitative analysis, we show that flipped classes looks more suitable for distance learning, since we saw that during the lectures, the students were less paying attention compared to the recitation and the tutorials, since they could resort to the online recording to review the lectures and thus be able to complete the homeworks. And we can see that the number of offline views were even higher compared to the number of students, indicating that actually they were watching pretty often the recordings than just once. So finally, we can see that the attention tracking tool as provided in Zoom was not really accurate, since we can see that it doesn't really show the progression or how well they were performing in the class. To make it more effective, it would require Zoom to provide more invasive tools, which actually is quite controversial. So that's my presentation for today. Thanks for your attention. And in case of any question, please feel free to send them by email.